Welcome to my YouTube channel. You go to source for the latest news, insightful analysis, and in-depth discussions on current events. If you're passionate about staying informed, you are in the right place. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you are never miss an update. Let's dive into today's news.
2024 Know Your Opponent. Michigan Wolverines instead of staying with our every Monday this summer tradition. We will be taking a look on a Wednesday at Northwestern's next opponent, with the season starting this Saturday. Today, we will look deeper into the defending national champions, the Michigan Wolverines. The Wildcats will be heading to the Big House on November 23rd. The Wolverines are coming off an undefeated campaign that culminated in a national championship. After losing many key players, including quarterback J.J. McCarthy and head coach Jim Harbaugh, the Wolverines are aiming to shock everyone and repeat the success they saw last season. The 2023 Michigan Wolverines need no introduction. This roster saw 13 players go on to get drafted in 2024, which was the third most in history. However, their path to the national championship was still not the typical one. Their coach for 2024, Sharon Moore, acted as a head coach for the Maize and Blue at times last season because of sign-stealing allegations. In addition, there were allegations of recruiting violations going into the season. Because of the recruiting allegations, Michigan put a self-imposed suspension on coach Jim Harbaugh, leading him to miss the first 3 games of the season. Michigan easily beat their 3 non-conference opponents in these games, and Harbaugh returned to the sideline for the Wolverines' victory over Rutgers. The season after this was smooth, with the Wolverines winning their next 5 games by an average of 40.4 points. After their victory over Purdue, the sign-stealing allegations were the talk of the college football world. This led to the Big Ten suspending Harbaugh for the remainder of the regular season. Michigan had to play at Penn State, at Maryland, and host Ohio State without their head coach. The Wolverines beat the Nittany Lions pretty easily by a score of 24-15, but the next week was the trap game of the season for Michigan. After taking a 23-3 lead midway through the second quarter, Maryland fought their way back. Michigan had a 29-24 lead going into the fourth quarter. Even with all the momentum on Maryland's side, the Wolverines found a way, winning 31-24 after a late safety point. 2023's rendition of the game saw Michigan ahead for most of the contest. When the Wolverines were up by 6 with a minute left, Ohio State started to catch fire. In just 3 plays, the Buckeyes got the ball into Michigan territory. Needing a touchdown and extra point to take the lead, Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord dropped back to pass. With just about 30 seconds to go, McCord was hit as he threw, and the ball sailed right into the hands of Michigan safety Rod Moore, sending Michigan to the Big Ten Championship for the 3rd year in a row in the Big Ten Championship. The Wolverines shut out the Iowa Hawkeyes 26-0, securing their number 1 ranking in the college football playoffs. In the semifinal, they first were up against Nick Saban in his final year of coaching the Crimson Tide. Michigan led at halftime, and after a scoreless third quarter, Alabama took a 20-13 lead with under 5 minutes to play in the game. The Wolverines then had a 3-minute, 8-play, 75-yard drive that ended in a touchdown, tying the game at 20. The Rose Bowl then went into overtime, in which the Wolverines scored a touchdown in 2 plays. When Alabama got the ball, they made it a goal-to-go situation. This is where the Michigan defense came up big. They stopped the Crimson Tide offense, and when a 4th down run by quarterback Jalen Milroe was stopped short, the Wolverines booked their ticket to the national championship. In the national championship, the Wolverines were up against the Washington Huskies. The Huskies were coming off a thrilling Sugar Bowl victory against the Texas Longhorns and were looking to upset Michigan. This was far from the case, though, as the Wolverines dominated for most of the game and held off a Washington comeback attempt in the second and third quarters with stellar defense, securing a 34-13 victory. However, the Wolverines look much different heading into 2024 as they have a new head coach, sort of, and a very different roster from last season. The Wolverines averaged 35.9 points per game last season behind a balanced attack. They averaged 213.7 passing yards per game and 169.1 rushing yards per game in 2023. The most obvious difference this season is their quarterback. J.J. McCarthy was drafted in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft, and now taking over the signal calling is redshirt sophomore Alex Orji. Orji played periodically throughout the 2023 season, with his primary use being as a runner. The Michigan offense will have a more mobile quarterback compared to last year, but Orji needs to prove he can be an effective passer. His receivers this year are mostly different than the team had last year. 2 of the top 3 receivers from the national championship team, Roman Wilson and Cornelius Johnson, are in the NFL. Sophomores Frederick Moore and Samaj Morgan, along with junior Tyler Morris, will be the 3 primary wide receivers for this offense. Other than these receivers, Michigan has arguably the best tight end in the country in star junior Colston Loveland. As the team's number 2 target last season, Loveland is looking to carry the load following a 45-reception, 649-yard and 4-touchdown season. The Wolverines, despite losing running back Blake Corum to the NFL draft, still have Donovan Edwards. Edwards last season had just under 500 rushing yards to go along with his 5 rushing touchdowns and added another 249 yards receiving to his total. Edwards, who starred in the national championship game, is taking over the Michigan backfield. The pressure is on Edwards, as 27 rushing touchdowns from Blake Corum are no longer available to the Wolverines. The offensive line remains in healthy shape even after losing some talent. Northwestern transfer Josh Preby will help to bolster the trenches. Defense is the heart and soul of this team. After allowing the second fewest yards per game in 2023, along with only 9.5 points per game, which led the FBS, the Michigan defense is looking to do it again. Even with most of the roster not returning following the national championship, the Wolverines do have their top talent on defense still repping the maize and blue as they were too young to enter the draft. Cornerback Will Johnson is coming off an outstanding sophomore season, capping it off as the defensive MVP in the national championship. The 2023 All-American is looking to continue to be a cornerstone piece in this Michigan secondary. Apart from Johnson, the Wolverines secondary is made up of many new players from the transfer portal, along with some returning players. A huge key, though, to this secondary ceiling is whether or not safety Rod Moore returns this season. Moore, who is coming off a good season, had knee surgery following an injury in the spring. The defensive front is led by 2023 All-American Mason Graham. The junior was the defensive MVP in the Wolverines' Rose Bowl victory over Alabama in the first round of the playoffs, and he is looking to improve on an already stellar young career at Michigan. Also returning for this defensive line is Kenneth Grant, who is looking to improve from his 3.5 sacks last season. In terms of linebackers, the Wolverines have a void to fill. Their top 2 tacklers last season, Junior Colson and Michael Barrett, both are in the NFL. Returning linebacker Ernest Hausman is going to be heavily relied on after his season last year, in which he racked up 46 total tackles. Joining Hausman in the Michigan linebacker room is Maryland transfer Jyshawn Barham. The 4-star recruit is coming off a 37-tackle, 3-sack season a year ago. Even after losing much of their defense from last season, the Wolverines have some of their most impactful players back and ready for more.
Thank you for watching my videos. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumb up and share your thought in the comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more update and in-depth coverage. Hit the notification bell so you are always the first to know when a new video drops. See you in the next one. Thank you.